Back in July, during the first Halo Infinite flight, I uploaded this gameplay clip to YouTube with a bit of a clickbait title, "The moment you realize Halo Infinite's movement is insane." This is easily the most viewed video on my channel. Not to flex, I'm just saying a lot of people watched it. A lot of people from different gaming communities watched it. Some who maybe never played a Halo game before and were very quick to let me know how completely wrong I was for ever thinking that a movement sequence like this could be considered insane. I mean, it's just jumping and sliding, right? That's not insane. I could do that in Call of Duty. I could do that in Battlefield, in Apex, in Destiny, in Mario Sunshine, in Battle Tanks, on my front lawn. Literally every video game has a slide, so who cares if Halo has one? The worst offenders, though, were the Titanfall fans. Like, my God, apparently typing the words insane and movement in a YouTube video is just a trigger for the entire Titanfall community because they just overran my comment section with stuff like this. Okay, now here's the thing. The slides in this clip are not as simple as they look. There's more than meets the eye with what I'm doing in this clip, and we'll get into that in a bit. But first, I'd like to actually acknowledge and talk a bit about Titanfall and just get some perspective here. Without a doubt, Titanfall's movement is pretty damn insane, from double jumping, bunny hopping, and wall running to complex air or tap strafing techniques, and combine that with a grapple or the Halo grenade jumping-esque gravity star boost, and you'll be flying around maps faster than Super Saiyan Goku vs. Frieza.
Hey, why can't I hit you?
You didn't say please.
Although, this system is designed in a way that makes many of these movements incredibly seamless and almost effortless to pull off. Simply sprint and jump into a wall and you'll wall run. The rest comes down to jump timing and steering, all of which you're introduced to within the first 5 seconds of playing the game. I'm pretty confident even your grandma could put together a standard wall run or bunny hop sequence in Titanfall, despite how flashy it might look. Of course, learn to optimize these movements with frame-precise wall kicks and other advanced techniques, and you're looking at a much more complex and impressive feat of gamer gratification. But why are we doing all this movement? What's the point, right? Because this isn't Mirror's Edge, where movement is the sole focus. Titanfall's movement is a component of a larger objective, defeating your opponents with the game's combat and gunplay. And this, in my opinion, is where the game stops being insane. Just for example, what does your average pilot kill look like in Titanfall? Let's look at a couple. Bravo! Round of applause. Well done. Well done, right? Like, that's it, man. That's a kill in Titanfall, dude. Like, look, all this movement, it's complex, it's beautiful, I get it, but that's what it's for. All the movement boils down to this, and you just killed that guy so fast that there's no time for an outplay. Essentially, because your movement put you in a position where you saw him first, you win the fight, almost effortlessly. And look, I know this doesn't mean there are no movement outplays in Titanfall, or no weapons that require plenty of precision and gun skill, because there definitely are, but a lot of the time, this is what a kill looks like. And in my opinion, there's just not a lot of substance here, right? It's like watching a Michael Bay movie full of tons of big budget explosions when the actual story is a snooze fest. Is this really that insane? Like, maybe for campaign speedruns, sure, but for actual multiplayer, Okay, that's enough with the Titanfall slander, and my bad. I'm not trying to be harsh, of course. These are just my own observations, and I'll make sure to wrap back to Titanfall at the end and reiterate things. But all that said, now let's talk about Halo.
Once they had control of both snipes, though, I feel like they're being a bit more wise with the power weapons.
And trying to traverse around that sniper platform, goes for the one-on-one engagement with Frosty. They both thrust. Who's going to get the kill? Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Onto these Mentality Esports guys. Fantastic shots coming in from Snakebite as well. Should get another easy double here. Last player's on the pyramid, sorry. Smartly backs down though, doesn't give that away, but now PJ!
Getting a kill in a Halo game is not a simple split-second spray down. Kills in Halo need to be earned, especially in competitive play. It's a very involved multi-second exchange, a calculated dance around a simple two-step objective. break the shields, land a headshot. Every player has a shield bar that depletes when taking damage and eventually recharges when evading gunfire. To win a fight, you gotta land consecutive well-placed shots and track your opponents throughout, with even greater precision when landing the final headshot for the kill. In a game like Halo 3, this meant connecting with 4 precision bursts from a battle rifle, each burst firing 3 bullets that you had to adjust and account for on the fly. Combine that with a projectile aim system, meaning bullets had travel time through the air, so at a long distance you had to lead your shots and calculate where those bullets would land mid-fight. While Halo 3's movement mechanics on their own were pretty simple and limited, you could strafe, jump, and crouch, the challenging aim tracking and time to kill ensured that movement wasn't just used to quickly navigate a map or get the jump on your enemy, it needed to be applied consistently to outpace and mind game your opponents during the actual gunfight. Jiggle peeking and strafing around cover, strong siding and Gandhi hopping to protect your head as you evade and precisely crouch jump around the environment, in some cases risking your life for a slightly more optimized route while maintaining perfect reticle placement, all so you could stay just one shot ahead of your opponent. In Halo games, movement and aim are completely intertwined. Good Halo players consistently use their movement to aim their shots, matching their opponent's strafe early in the fight before throwing in a last-second mix-up. Because of the way gunplay works, the focus on every little movement mechanic in Halo is magnified and has a drastic effect on the flow and pacing of combat, which is also the reason why something as simple as the ability to sprint, if poorly implemented, could cause the whole freaking community to go crazy. Halo 5, despite its criticisms, took all aspects of Halo's movement to the extreme, and with mechanics like thrust, slide, stabilize, and clamber, created the most complex and dynamic combat dance ever to exist in a Halo game. I'm pretty confident if you were to list out the sheer number of advanced movement mechanics in Halo 5 versus the number of advanced mechanics in Titanfall, it wouldn't even be close. And the real insane part here is that Halo 5's many advanced techniques directly impact the dance and can be used mid-fight to mind game and outmaneuver your opponent, all while landing 5 precise consecutive shots. I mean, heck, I could take that a step farther and argue that the mechanical depth in Halo 5 could rival any game in the entire FPS genre. Of course, I don't have time to explain that, but feel free to watch any of my YouTube videos if you don't believe me. With all this talk about Halo's movement and combat, some of you might be thinking, well, what about Apex, right? Apex Legends has shields, it has drawn-out exchanges, deep movement mechanics with gunplay that requires incredible tracking and aim skill, projectile bullets, the works, right? And to that I'd say good point. Apex Legends actually does have it all. The kind of outplays you can pull off with the movement in that game are genuinely insane and worthy of praise. I can't knock it in the slightest. What I'm not a big fan of, however, is the fact that a good chunk of the game is spent looting boxes for shiny, randomly generated objects on a massive map, only to later get third-partied by a team that spent half the game camping behind electric fences and gas traps. Halo, on the other hand, is right in your freaking face, right? You're thrown into non-stop violence, speed, and momentum the moment the game starts to the moment it ends. Take that massive map and shrink it down to an intricately designed battleground, not even a 30th of the size, drop 2 teams of 4 in there with perfectly even starts, no unique abilities, no overpowered team compositions, and have at it. Good luck camping in Halo also. All the most important, powerful weapons are located in all the most vulnerable spots on the map. Giving up those weapons and positions means giving up your life. The beauty of Halo's competitive experience is nothing is random. A good Halo player can completely manipulate every little aspect of the game down to the individual spawn point and time that their opponent will spawn to the freaking millisecond. And that's the reason why many Halo fans will compare spawn control in Halo to a temporary checkmate in a chess match. The only way to break free is with good teamwork, awareness, movement, and gun skill. Okay, now that I feel like we've gained some context and perspective, now it's time to talk about Infinite's movement. Similar to the classic Halo games, Halo Infinite's movement on the surface feels less flashy and more subtle. Halo 5's sprint, slide, and clamber are still in the game, but they feel slower, heavier, and in many cases much riskier to perform. Basically, when your grandma plays this one, she's not going to be doing any fancy wall runs or bunny hops, but who knows, man, like maybe she's got like a nasty shot. But if that's the case, then how am I sliding around like this? Because clearly the slides in this clip are faster than what's normally possible. Well, glad you asked. What I'm doing here is an advanced technique I call a curb slide. This technique can only be performed when sprinting off a ledge that's about 1 to 2 feet off the ground. So basically like a little box or a curb. To land this technique correctly, you need to sprint off of one of these ledges and then hit your crouch button within a very precise, I want to say 3-frame window, and then jump to fly forward. The timing here is very unforgiving. If you're even a couple milliseconds off, you'll get what's called a dead slide and you go nowhere. You also can't shoot when you set this up because shooting cancels your sprint, so you gotta find an opportunity when you're not in a gunfight to quickly hit this. And because this is a Halo game, just because you hit the technique successfully and startle someone doesn't mean you're gonna get a quick sprint down. You might just get 1 or 2 shots in that fight, and you might throw yourself way in a position with no cover. Basically, if you don't have good awareness of where your opponents and your teammates are when you do this, then you might hurt yourself more than you help yourself. The beauty of this technique, though, is if used correctly, it can be powerful in combat, and it can drastically speed up your rotation on the map. It's difficult to do, so you gotta practice to get it down, and it requires great map knowledge to implement. Unlike Halo 5's thrust slide, for example, that just launches you around anywhere at any time super fast. Now, in Infinite, you need to know all the locations where this works, and then find out how to expertly weave it into your gameplay, which, in my opinion, is a freaking sick skill gap. There's so many good risks to just offset that reward. It's kind of insane to think of what a pro player might be able to do with this technique in a tournament, considering all the risks involved. And that's the thing with the title of this YouTube clip. I didn't title it Halo Infinite's movement is insane. I titled it The Moment You Realize the Movement is Insane, because for me, this was the moment when everything clicked. This technique is really just the tip of the iceberg. Halo Infinite also has a whole suite of equipment items that spawn in the battlefield for you to fight over. We've seen the grapple, and similar to Apex and Titanfall, it's possible to steer and slingshot yourself around maps with this thing. On top of that, you can grapple weapons and items towards you for a big play. And then there's the repulsor that you can use to reflect projectiles or push away Spartans, or point it at the ground and launch yourself way up in the air. And at the time of recording this, I haven't played the new flight yet, so depending on when I upload this video, there might be some footage here to display this, but like, who knows what kind of potential there is for movement outplays with stuff like this, and does it connect with techniques like the curb slide? And there's a thrust in this game too. There was a leaked image, and you can see the thrust mechanic in the settings menu in the game, so it's gonna be there. We haven't seen it yet, and the thrust was responsible for so many movement outplays in Halo 5 and for map navigation, so who knows, man? I'm sure there's plenty of surprises with that as well. And that's just what we know so far. Like, if you put it all together, the potential here, especially considering Halo's rules in combat, is, in my opinion, worthy of the label insane.
We're flying now. They know where you are. Flame capture.
In the end here, when it comes down to straight up Titanfall movement versus Halo movement in a contest of what looks more insane, Titanfall wins, hands down, any day, no contest. We all like video games for different reasons. If you like Titanfall, great, more power to you. But I hope this video lets people realize that there's a lot more to movement than just flying far and going fast. Halo's time to kill spawn system and map design allows you to appreciate the subtleties of movement, the dance in moment-to-moment gunplay, using the few tools that you have with expert precision just to gain a timing advantage on a starting strat, or to overthrow your opponent like a fighter in a boxing ring. It's a shame that Halo doesn't have the recognition that it used to, because it's hard to not get a little triggered looking at my comment section and just seeing so many people slamming a game they never took the time to understand. Personally, competitive Halo is so sick because it's designed in this way that allows for this very true and consistent display of skill. It ensures that only the best players will prosper and continue to, which is probably the reason why there's such a large history of dominance in Halo esports, why during Halo 2 Final Boss dominated, or why CLG, now Sentinels, dominated the majority of Halo 5. Halo games are just different, man. And if you agree with me and you want to learn more about Halo and join me for this whole new competitive era with Infinite, then hit the sub button. The ride hasn't even started. I guarantee you there'll be plenty of insane moments along the way.
And finally, you would dream where you are now.